Hey kids, this is Ivan. How you doing? Well, I'll tell you what. I was talking to Tim Harper and Samwise 7 RPG, and it's amazing to me that anybody watches my videos. It's even more amazing when people comment or when they make video responses. So I want to thank a couple people for making video responses to one of my videos. Complex Games Apologist and Caius of Glantri both made video responses to my video about learning a new setting is hard, and they had some great things to say. So thanks a lot, guys, for taking the time to do that. A lot of people commented on my video, their videos, both in Facebook and the YouTube format. So thanks to everybody. And I'm gonna leave people out because I'm not gonna mention everybody. So sorry. But let's see. DMT Tabletop Games said something great. Commented on Caius's video. I thought it was so great. I stole it and quoted. And he talked about he found it jarring when he said something that was contrary to the established canon, and that's one of the things that made the settings kind of difficult for him, or at least he empathized with me. And I was like, yeah, that's exactly what I mean, because you know what, I don't like to get things wrong, and I don't have I think there's definitely I agree with a lot of sentiments that it's worth it to take the time to learn a setting in depth, but my time's not my own all the time, and so I don't want to screw things up. I was talking to Runeslinger recently because I'm talking about I'm going to run a couple I scheduled finally to run some one-shots and maybe a couple sessions contiguously of Desolation, which is great, but I haven't run the Ubiquity system yet, so I have read about it and stuff, but I haven't actually done it, so I'm a little nervous because what if I screw this up or whatever, but I understand that if I screw up and forget a roll, or somebody rolls 3 dice instead of 5, it's not the end of the world, and the story that emerges, is what we're going to remember, not, that, we rolled the wrong number of dice here or something, or you forgot to, say, check for this skill or whatever, screwing up a setting, that upsets me more. Like if I have to say, oh, let me kind of backpedal here because this detail I gave you is completely wrong, so I don't like it. That makes me less comfortable. So I say something that's, it's jarring when I say something that's contrary to established canon. So thanks a lot for that quote. That's great. But I misspoke a little bit. Let me find my 2 props that I used the last time. Got these 2 games here. Desolation, which has it's not the most intricate setting in the world, but there's a lot of detail. As it talks about a country or a situation or a history, it goes into some detail about it. So that's something that the characters would know because it's just happened not so long ago, before the apocalypse. This game, Astonishing Swordsman and Sorceress of Hyperborea, I misspoke. Its setting is not quite as sparse as I made it sound. Like it definitely has a history, and it has a little ditty about each nation and whatnot, or each area really, but not as much. It's much more sparse. So it's a lot of there's less room for error. But it gives you just enough to work with. So I like that. It's got this little, I'm not going to open up again, but it has this little, synopsis of the history of the world, and it's like one of those pages like you get in your, history, history of the Roman Empire or something like that, really fast. So you can kind of, get at that. It doesn't go into a heck of a lot more detail like Desolation does. So that's, both games are great, but I find the first, the Sorcerer is a little bit more easy to digest as a setting. I'm not really a sucker for a setting so much as I'm a sucker for a premise. If the premise is cool, I'm hooked. Just the setting itself, oh, this is a great complex setting, there's no real, the premise doesn't grab me, I'm not in. There's no buy-in. Both of these games have some pretty cool premises, so I dig that. The whole post-apocalyptic thing with Desolation and the fact that magic, is dangerous to use and can actually kill you when you use it. I like that a lot. And the definite kind of Lovecraftian Howard vibe of Hyperborea, and this being this isolated land, it's cool too. So both settings, both premises really grab me. But it's funny, Complex Games Apologist had this great metaphor in his video, and it really made me sit at attention because I don't know if he's a keyboard player. I think he is. If he isn't, he still used a great metaphor. And he was talking about liking a setting that was completely established. And talking about the fact that you can get like an electric keyboard and you can mess around with the knobs or the settings, internally and come up with a sound yourself. However, they come with patches, and you can buy more patches. And generally, what you do is you flip through them and say, "Oh, that's the sound I want." Now you have your setting. Same word for both things. You've got a setting, and that's your setting. But I'm thinking, I smile because I don't play keyboard. I play the bass, and so it's different. You can get different basses, different amps. You can turn a knob on your bass a little bit. But for the most part, sound comes from here. So it's more sparse. I can't automatically get sound, X. I have to, but I've got the 4 strings, you know, and so I have to do some work. And, you know, it depends. I mean, the sound can vary quite a bit. And it's just a matter of, like, you know, how I play it. Not my best slapping, but you get the idea, you know. So, you know, that to me, you know, it was a great metaphor, because it just, you know, kind of solidified, you know, the differences between us, which are fine. You know, it doesn't really matter, you know, what particular thing you like. But I appreciate everybody's comments. You know, I definitely agree with the value of taking the time to learn a setting, or a rich, detailed setting. It's just one of those things that it's harder for me. So, you know, I'm not a historian. Caius was mentioned that he was, and that grabs me less than, like, the premise. And, you know, it's nifty for me to learn the new mechanics sometimes, and see, will this get me where I want to go? That's another whole conversation I'm still having with people, and I'm still probably going to keep on coming back to in videos, because, you know, with any kind of mechanical stuff, it's like, where do I want to go, and will this get me there? So there you have it. So talk to you later.